We have a fun game tonight, and we have a ton of injury updates that we have to go through real quick. One, Jimmy Garoppolo was limited in practice. Looks like Jimmy G is probably going to be good to go. I mean, that's what they were saying previously. It doesn't really matter. We're still starting Adams. You still start Jacobs. You still start Myers. Not super excited about any of them. The biggest news update that we got will be Kyler Murray not listed on the injury report for week 8. Now, to be completely honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I was initially reading this and my dumb brain went, oh, they said he wasn't going to play last week. If he's not on the injury report, I guess that means he's good. Let's go through. Then you go over and you look at the spread of this game, and I would assume that the spread on this game maybe would move down. It was like 9.5 points previously. I was like, oh, I think Kyler Murray is an upgrade over Josh Dobbs. Then you pull it up, and the Arizona Cardinals are still 9.5 point dogs here. So now I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, if he's not on the injury report, they said he was initially playing not in week 8, but probably week 9, definitely week 10 at the minimum. Then we see this spread. I don't exactly know what to expect. I don't know if we are getting Kyler, if we are not getting Kyler Murray. Can y'all please let me know in the live chat if I'm missing anything else? We'll go through the other injury reports as we wait for this. But the other ones, Bijan Robinson, not listed on the injury report, should be good to go. Dawson Knox, officially placed on the IR, gonna miss 4 games. So Dalton Kincaid is the #1 waiver wire pickup this week. Go get Kincaid if you can. Christian Watson fully practices again on Thursday. Like I was saying, I loved the pick'em that you had on Underdog Fantasy of Christian Watson, 58.5 receiving yards. I think this may have moved down, however, so you may not be able to get the 58.5 receiving yard mark anymore. If it's much lower than that, honestly, probably a stay away. But if you can still get at 58.5, we're definitely taking the fewer then. Aaron Jones did get in a limited practice. Brock Purdy, dealing with the concussion, was at practice on Thursday, which is nice to see. Roschon Johnson clears concussion protocol, will be playing this week. So honestly, you don't start Roschon, you don't start Deonta Foreman. It just turns it into a running back by committee. We're not super excited about either player. Moving on, Reem Mostert did get into practice. Deontay Johnson did not. So if Deontay misses, you definitely need to be making sure that you are starting George Pickens. And yeah, we spent all last night having to deal with everybody in the live stream just panicking because Tyreek Hill missed everybody panicking that Tyreek Hill missed practice on Wednesday. We were sitting here going, I'm not worried about it. Let's see what happens on practice on Thursday. What happens? Tyreek Hill practices. So Tyreek Hill will be playing this week. Please do not panic. He is going to be completely fine. Now, moving on, Justin Fields is not going to be playing. Tyreek Hill says he will play. And let's see, Robert Woods will be out. Daniel Jones will be a limited participant in practice. I'm assuming Daniel Jones still going to miss. I mean, you have the Jets as 3-point favorites in this game. The main thing we are looking at is Kyler Murray getting in a full practice and Kyler Murray no longer being on the injury report. I don't know if this means Kyler plays or not. Regardless, we probably should be benching Kyler this week and hopefully looking to play him next week. But I think if he is officially off the injury report, then that means we should most likely, I mean, at least I'm assuming, right? But I think we're at least going to be getting him next week at the minimum. But let me go ahead and pull up what we have here with the questions in this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this stream, subscribe to the channel. Today is day 181 of live streaming every single day. We'll be live streaming every single day until 2024. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, they have the usual special pick'em that you're going to get If you are new to Underdog Fantasy, right now that's going to be Josh Allen more than less than half a total yard for tonight's game. If you sign up after tonight's game, it's going to be a Jalen Hurts special pick'em. Regardless, if you're new, you're at least going to get one special pick'em on Underdog. It's either the Allen or Hurts, depending when you sign up. But if you use code FLOCK, you're also going to get an exclusive special pick'em on Monday night, more than less than half a total yard for Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. Super excited we were able to get it for you. Now, Bid Moon says, hope all is well. Appreciate seeing you, my man. Kincaid or Darren Waller? So if you were to ask me rest of season who I want here, I probably am going to go Dalton Kincaid, assuming that he continues to get better as the year progresses with him being a rookie tight end. If you're looking at my rankings this week, I do have Waller at 8, Kincaid at 9. So I'm going to be starting Darren Waller this week, but I would rather have Kincaid rest of season. Nick says, hey, brother, Flowers, Godwin, Downs, Kareem. We need to pick 2. Tough spot to be in. Really matters if it's going to be a full PPR format versus a non-PPR league. I think I'd probably go Flowers and Godwin. If it is a full PPR format. If it's a non-PPR format, I would play Hunt over Godwin. Joe says, 12-team at PPR. Been back and forth on this. Good offer Chase for Brees and Puka. We have Kupp, Puka, DJ Moore, Terry, Brees, Eckler, Swift, and Tajee Spears. I think it's a very fair deal. I do see Jamar Chase as that elite level asset still, especially if Burrow's going to be healthier coming out of the bye week. Now, with that being said, if it is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I think you can make the play for Chase. However, if it's a multi-flex format, probably going to be a little bit tougher to do so. And let me see on my phone. Can y'all still read it like this? Okay, yes, we can. Perfect. So we're going to leave it like this so we don't have to take up that much space. Henry says, full BBR, 10-team league. Have Laporta in trading Kincaid. What do you do? Kincaid, Mixon, or Kincaid, Ramondre for Flowers and Michael Thomas. We have Bijan Robinson and David Montgomery. Okay. Mixon to Zay Flowers, don't really care. Ramondre to Zay Flowers, probably a slight upgrade. I understand the thought process here where we have the tight end production. We have the running back production as well. So these assets are expendable for us. If you really wanted to make a deal like this, it would be selling Ramondre, not Joe Mixon. I would assume, though, that we could get a little bit of a better price tag. It does seem like we are selling very low at this price in particular. Canelo says, hey, Mason, please pick 2. We need a wide receiver 2 and a flex. But if you choose White, we'll move him to RB2. Perfect. Have BBR, Smith, Ridley, White, Deontay Rice. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. We are going to go Smith and White. I understand that Smith has honestly been worse than Rice so far this season. But ultimately, you are getting a considerable amount of target volume going to Smith. He's still running every route. He's still in an elite offense. He's still a top talent. And he does have a phenomenal matchup going up against Washington. So I'm going to go Smith. Niner Matt says 12-team, 7-0 PPR. First off, my friend, congrats. Single flex. We have Hurts, Connor, Gus, Keenan, Lamb, Andrews, Tyreek. And then on the bench, we have Burrow, Charbonnet, Dell, JSN, Palmer, Kincaid. Traded Kamara, Addison for Bijan. What are your thoughts? Single flex league, the depth's not going to matter as much here. I think we are getting the best player in return. I think that a lot of people are going to go out of their way and they're going to tell you that you lost this deal. But in the long term, knowing that we are getting Justin Jefferson back into this offense at some point, I think I would personally prefer to go through and take the Bijan Robinson side. So I do like the trade, my friend. Zach says, should we start Bijan or Addison for that flex? I'm going to go Bijan Robinson over Jordan Addison. Jacoby says traded Kyron, Kyler, and Lockett for Higgins and Kupp. Was this a good deal? I'm 2-5 with Mahomes at quarterback. Hell yes. Phenomenal trade. Love to see it, my friend. I mean, ultimately, if you are looking at this, Kyler doesn't do you anything if we have Mahomes. We're 2-5. We don't need points in the long term with like Kyron Williams. We need points right now. So yeah, going and getting Kupp and Higgins is an absolute no-brainer. Ryan says, happy to be our London, Godwin, Brian Robinson, Warren, JSN, and Tajee Spears. Okay. I'm assuming you're asking to start one of these players. I'm assuming. And if you're asking to start one of these guys, we will go Chris Godwin tonight. It is a tough matchup, of course. It does sound like he's healthy. The one thing is, if you're starting Godwin or you're starting any player on Thursday night, of course, please do not put him into your flex. Please instead move him to wide receiver 2 and move your wide receiver 2 down to your flex just in case something happens. Siraj says, yo, Mason, 12 team PPR, Higgins, Cook, or Hollywood. Need to. Hey, man, I think we're going to go Cook and Hollywood. Appreciate you, my man. I really do like Higgins. I would rather have Higgins over Hollywood rest of season. It's just a very tough matchup going up against San Fran. And I would rather wait to just see T. Higgins and Joe Burrow at 100% health. Once we see that, I think we'll feel much more comfortable. Ian says, final flex spot, Godwin, Elijah, or Josh Downs. I will be going Chris Godwin over Josh Downs. I don't think Elijah Moore is startable with no Watson. The offense is just not good enough. Joe says, just traded Godwin. Start him, Downs, or Watson. Like I'm saying, I don't love the matchup for Godwin here. However, with that being said, in this range, I still am going to be starting someone like Godwin over Josh Downs. Josh Downs, one of my most drafted players on Underdog this year. Like, I'm going to be printing money if Downs goes out there and the rest of the way is a better receiver than Godwin. I'd rather see a little bit of a larger sample, though. Pedro says, offer Jefferson. I receive Bijan, Javonte for Metcalf. Wait, what? Offer Justin Jefferson. I received Bijan and Javonte for DK Metcalf. I don't know what you were. I don't know how we break this down, my friend. I would rather have Jefferson over Bijan. I'd rather have Bijan over Javonte and Metcalf. I'm very sorry. I would rank these players Jefferson, Bijan, Metcalf, then Javonte. Hopefully that helps. Now, Keji says, Kittle without Purdy or Kincaid without Knox. Thanks, Mason. Thank you, my friend. If Deebo Samuel were to have played, I think we would go ahead and we would say Kittle. I'm sorry, we would say Kincaid. But with Deebo Samuel looking like he may miss, honestly, I think we may go one more week of Kittle here. Mike says, hey, Mason, full BBR starter receiver and a flex. We have Hollywood, Watson, Godwin, Brian Robinson, Madison. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Our wide receiver, I think we're going to be going Godwin. And then for our flex spot, we're also going to go Hollywood in a full PPR format. I like the upside that we may have with Christian Watson long term. But I do think that we're in a position where we can at least wait to see what we get with Watson. I mean, I was ready to start him last week, given how good the matchup was. He gets hurt. He does nothing. I want to see a week of production before we go through and start Watson now, especially if Jordan Love's just not going to be the guy you'd want him to. Now, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to hit 100 likes on this stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop that like on this live stream. Rex says, in the process of buying a new home, so haven't been around much, but keep doing your thing, man. No, thank you so much for even stopping by, my man. I know how hectic that mess must be. I wear the flock hat all the time. Also, Lamar for MVP. Hell yeah, thank you for rocking the flock, my man. I really do appreciate you, and thank you for stopping by. And congrats on the new home. Congrats. Now, Ethan says, need an upgraded receiver. Who to target with Hawkinson and Lockett? The team is Burrow, Henderson, Jones, Nico, Pittman, Hawkinson, Odell, Lockett, Kyron, and Khalil on the IR. Thanks. So thank you, my friend. If I am selling Hawkinson, I need an elite receiver in return. I need Cooper Kupp. I need Devontae Adams. Maybe we go down to like CeeDee Lamb. But no, TJ Hawkinson is giving you a significant edge at a position where it's very difficult to find reliable production. Okay. Now, next question coming out from, I believe, James says, Moss or Pierre Strong? We will go Zach Moss, even though I do think that Pierre Strong will have a role. Roshan Higgins or Alexander Madison in a non-PPR format. Thanks, Bruno. Thank you, my man. We will go T. Higgins. I will say it's a little bit closer to Alexander Madison, considering the fact that it is a non-PPR league, though. It is a little bit closer. Okay. Now, Melvin says, should we trade Pittman for Olave? Ooh. I think that they're very close. I personally, I would still prefer Olave, but they are very, very close for me at this point. Now, please, Brian says, full BBR start Jones, Henderson, or Zach Moss. In a full BBR format, I'm going to go Aaron Jones. He was at practice today. Obviously, we are very concerned. I think we do want to continue to monitor the injury reports that we get tomorrow. Tilted Hippo says, hey, have BBR trade Mostert for Adams and Higgins. I think maybe you get a slight decrease in the short term, but you get that long-term upgrade. So yes, I probably go ahead and make this trade, my friend. Ralph says, a team looking to try to upgrade at running back could potentially get Jacobs or Henry. We have Barkley, White, Edwards, Javonte, Kyron. What are your thoughts? The thing is, I don't necessarily know how excited we are about Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs in an 8-team format in particular, where we're chasing the ceiling, not necessarily the floor. Is there a price point that we could go out there and add like Tony Pollard at? You know? At like 8-team league, these, I don't want to say depth guys, but those like RB2s in an 8-team format. I think Jacobs may end up being an RB2 there. Someone I'm not super, super pumped about. Probit says Lions defense or Bills defense. Probably going to go with the Lions defense against the Raiders. And then also Gibbs, DJ Moore for Tony Pollard. Oh, we're definitely going to take Tony Pollard there, my friend. Hernan says White, Gibbs, Stevenson, Jones. We need to start too. We're going to be going with White and Gibbs. You did not have David Montgomery at practice today, so I'm operating under the assumption that David Montgomery will not be playing this week. Rob says Gibbs and Javonte for Derrick Henry in a full PPR format. I also have a chance to do Swift for Pollard. Who do we like more rest of season? I would go Pollard over Swift rest of season. I would way rather prefer to trade Gibbs and Javonte for Pollard if we can make that move. Full BBR format for Derrick Henry, it's going to be a little bit tougher. I don't necessarily know how excited we would be to go through and trade for Derrick Henry here, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like maybe if you think he's going to get sent to a better situation, but this offense can get real ugly real quick, even though obviously it's already really bad as is. Now, Jacob says 10-team BBR double flex. We have Burrow, Etienne, Saquon Mixon, Gibbs, Jefferson, Diggs, AJ Lockett, Deontay Kelsey. Is this a championship team or do we need to make moves for a champion? Phenomenal team. The one thing that I would say is when we have this kind of depth, if you wanted to see if we could send, say, Deontay Johnson and Jahmyr Gibbs and go get an elite level wide receiver from a team that needs a running back, that may make some sense here. If you aren't going to get a great price, you don't have to do it because it's a full BBR format. But ultimately, super strong team. Worst case scenario, if you just wanted to sit on your hands and wait till we get Jefferson back in, not going to fault you at all for that. Now, LP Marco says 12-team PBR 5-2. We have Herbert, Kamara, Spears, Henderson, Charbonnet, Roshan, Waddle, Hollywood, Osborne, JSN, Woods, Dobbs, Andrews, Jefferson. Kyron, would you trade for White or Stevenson? Not Stevenson. If I was going to go for one, I'd go White. Both running backs are inefficient in very bad offenses. At least with White, he is getting every touch out of his backfield. And if you were going to make a trade for Rashad White here, I think it would look like maybe Romeo Dobbs and Tajee Spears, right? Like if you can send Spears and like Roshan Johnson, Spears in a very small piece with someone hoping that Derrick Henry gets traded, I think that'd make a lot of sense because worst case scenario, I mean, while I've seen some people hyping up Tajee Spears, even if Derrick Henry is traded, I think that while you definitely need a roster Spears at the minimum, if you can pick him up off the waiver wire, it's phenomenal. But he still, then at that point, probably slides into like the Rachaad White role at the best, right? Where he's not a great running back, but seeing every single touch out of his backfield. Now, J-Max says, should I trade Javonte, Christian Watson for Gibbs, Michael Thomas? It's a 12-team PBR league where we have Fields, Love, Bijan, Achane, Montgomery, Roshan, Godwin, Jacoby, Ridley, Tank, Jameson, and Hawkinson. So Javonte to Gibbs, give me Gibbs, not close. Watson and Michael Thomas, give me Watson. But I do think that Gibbs is going to be the most valuable asset on this team. And with it being a full PBR format, I am fine going out there and paying that price for him. Colin says 3 and 4 PBR, traded Saquon and Hunt for Tony Pollard. What are your thoughts? Coming from someone who has drafted so much more Saquon Barkley and Kareem Hunt than Tony Pollard, it's not even funny. Good move. I definitely think that you would take Tony Pollard here. We have Hurts, Mixon, Pollard, Puka, Smith, Nico, Hawkinson. And then we have running back depth as well. Very well-balanced team. Honestly, I don't think we make any moves beyond this. But I mean, with Tony Pollard, I don't even have Pollard. I don't want to be the guy coming out here carrying water for Pollard. But he's averaging like almost 5 receptions per game so far this season. He's already through his bye. He's averaging 16 carries per game, you know. Like if the touchdowns change at all, he's going to be in a spot where he's scoring a lot of points. Country Connected says Thielen, Foreman, Smith, Pittman, DK, Moss. We need a receiver and a flex. Always happy to see you. We are going to go with Adam Thielen for the wide receiver. And then for our flex, we're probably going to end up going with Michael Pittman. I don't necessarily know if we're excited to start Foreman this week. Definitely not nearly as excited as we were last week, as you have Roshan Johnson good to go in Chicago. Now, Phoenix says 12-team full BBR, no tight end premium. Have to pick up one of Kincaid, Hopkins, Watson. Don't feel confident in any of them, but it's either them or an RB2/3. I'm going to go Christian Watson for the flex spot here. I think if I had to value these guys rest of season, I would value Kincaid highest rest of season just because obviously it's tougher to find tight end production than wide receiver. But yeah, and then with DeAndre Hopkins, I really have no interest in playing him. You have Treylon Burks now fully healthy, and we have no idea what the quarterback situation is going to be in Tennessee. Chris says we have Brown, Lamb, Olave, Ridley in a 12-team map PBR. Would you try to make a trade? We have Breece Jacobs at running back, Allen at QB. I would say no, because in reality, what are we selling? The depth here, Olave and Ridley. I think Olave is going to be much better rest of season than where his current value is. Ridley, you're just simply not going to get any value for whatsoever. I think he's better off on your team as a wide receiver 4. So honestly, I'm probably going to be just chilling as is, my friend. Slayton says 12-team PBR is 6 and 1. We have Herbert, Keenan, Pickens, Higgins, Watson, Bijan, Breece, Achane, Kelsey. And then on the bench, we have Roshan, Dell, JSN, Bigsby, Dowdle. Do we need to make any moves, or is this team built for the playoffs? I think it's a phenomenal team that's going to get better as the season progresses with guys like JSN down there on the bench. If I were to make any trades, I think you could explore a couple different possibilities. One, potentially going through and seeing if we can sell, like, say, actually, no. I was going to say Keenan for Justin Jefferson on a 6-1 roster. Maybe we could still look to do that. My hesitation in it is, well, you have Keenan through his bye already, and at the same time, you do have him stacked up with Justin Herbert. Obviously, you like making that one concentrated bet on that offense. Maybe beyond that, if you wanted to go through and drop Dowdle and see if we can find someone else off waivers, we could look for that as well. Ultimately, I do think that your team's set up in a nice way where I don't really think you have to be making any moves. Those would just be the first two things that come to mind. But honestly, I think you are chilling. Okay. Now let's move this over. Kumo says, should we trade A.J. Brown for Herbert and Lamb? We have Geno, Bijan, Etienne, Walker, A.J., Keenan, Pittman, Amari, Logan Thomas. Thanks for what you do, man. No, thank you. Very tough, right? Because A.J. Brown has just been so damn dominant, especially this week where he's going up against Washington and you just know that he's going to score a zillion points. I'm very hesitant to go out there and tell you to trade away A.J. Brown. With that being said, it is a very fine price. You do have Lamb. You have Herbert through their respective buys already. Herbert is a clear upgrade of what we are getting at quarterback there. I think it is a fair deal, and it's going to be up to you, and maybe it just comes down to the quality of quarterback that you'd be able to stream and play the matchups with off waivers. Honestly, I think you maybe go Herbert. It's tough to say, though. SS says, full BBR, assuming Hunt should be an RB2. Who should we play in the flex? Gabe Davis, Sanders, Judy, or Deonta Foreman? Thanks so much, Mason. Really appreciate you, my man. Honestly, I may end up going Gabe Davis. It's a full BBR format. Gabe Davis does have that elite level ceiling, obviously incredibly low floor. But with that being said, Foreman's now going to be split in the backfield with Roshan. Jerry Judy is really unstartable at this point. Miles Sanders doesn't seem limited with an injury, but at the same time, you are dealing with just an uncertain workload where before the bye, he was splitting with Chuba Hubbard. Obviously, he was banged up. So I would just rather wait with Miles Sanders and see what this injury is going to be like. Matt says start 2, flex 1. Evans, Nico Collins, Pittman, Olave, and Devonta Smith. So essentially, we need to start 3, bench 2. We're going to be starting Nico Collins, Michael Pittman. And then between Mike Evans, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, I really do think it's up to you. Obviously, Evans has been the best player out of this group. He does have a very tough matchup. He's in a worse offense. Whereas you have Devonta Smith with a great matchup, and you have Devonta Smith in a great offense. So really the question does come down to, are you going to go Evans? Are you going to go Smith? I probably go Smith, but Evans has averaged like 5 points per game more than Smith so far this season. Obviously, most people would tell you Evans here. Trent says DK and Henry for Eckler and Brian Robinson. Give me Eckler over Henry. Give me DK over Brian Robinson. But ultimately, I don't think DK is that much value. If it is a full BBR format, I will just go through and I will just take Austin Eckler here. Now, True Player says start Kincaid and flex Kelsey. Other flex options are Hunt, Mixon. Okay, no. We're going to start Mixon at RB2, and then we're going to be flexing Kareem Hunt over Dalton Kincaid, my friend. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think that Dalton Kincaid is a very exciting tight end with the Dawson Knox injury. However, I think you're in a much better spot to see what kind of value we could get and going through and trading away Kincaid if we already have Mahomes. I'm sorry, already have Kelsey. Now, Michael says get offered Kelsey, Metcalf, or Andrews Hall. I think it's a fair deal, and it's up to you and if you need that running back production. Pedro says, sorry, bro, I received a trade offer to send Jefferson for Bijan and another one, Javonte, for Metcalf. I think we probably go Metcalf over Javonte. And then Jefferson versus Bijan, if you are sitting in a position of power where we can wait for the Justin Jefferson production, I think we probably go Justin Jefferson. Lucas says for the flex, Mixon, Higgins, Rashee Rice, or Kareem Hunt. We will go ahead. We'll play Joe Mixon. Obviously, a very tough matchup going up against San Fran. But maybe if Purdy misses, then the Bengals can lead this game and run the ball in the second half. J-Max says start Ridley, Watson, or Tank Dell in the flex. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. You have no Robert Woods, so Tank Dell now is going to be a little bit more appealing. Tank Dell really does not have any limitations here. It does come down to Ridley Watson for me, however. I'm probably going to give Ridley one more week. Yeah, I mean, I did not really draft Ridley at all this year. I don't really have much Ridley. But I mean, still in a good offense. And you want to believe he's a good receiver. Jaden says just traded Kamara for Mixon and Thielen. Win or loss. Full BBR format, I think it's a fair deal. Half BBR league, or especially in a non-PBR format, massive dub. AD says, favorite pick'em for tonight's game. Love the channel. Appreciate you, my friends. Let me go ahead and pull these up so we can look at this together. So you have Baker Mayfield for 229.5 passing yards. Honestly, probably staying away from those Baker pick'ems. Rashad White, you have at 72.5 total yards. Probably staying away from that. Mike Evans. If you really wanted to go for the long shot Mike Evans touchdown and get a 1.5x multiplier, you could look for that one. K-Dot and 26.5 receiving yards. Stay away. If you were new to Underdog, obviously you want to be taking the Josh Allen more than less than half a total yard. One thing I wouldn't mind, let me pull up the week-to-week game log that we have with Josh Allen with his rushing attempts. Because with Josh Allen, you kind of see this with his profile and you see this with Mahomes a little bit. And that these games that are very important and these games that are close, they'll go out there and they will run the ball with aggression. However, if they boat race another team, he's not going to run the ball nearly as much. So honestly, yeah, this is what I expected. I actually like the Josh Allen fewer than 5.5 rushing attempts, a considerable amount here. If you're looking at what we've had so far this year, you had Josh Allen with 7 rushing attempts against the Patriots. You've had Josh Allen with 6 rushing attempts against the Jets. But outside of that, every other week has either been 3, 4, or 2 rushing attempts. And those 2 games where he's gone more than 5.5 rushing attempts have been in losses. I think that the spread on this game is about 7.5, 8.5 points. Vegas is telling us that the Bills should go out there and take care of business. So if that will be the case, I think that Josh Allen runs the ball a little bit less. I do like fewer than 5.5 rushing attempts on Allen, even if that's a little bit obscure, which I do. I apologize. I'm sure you were just looking for something maybe a little bit more fun. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we're 1 like away from hitting 200 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, please go down there, hit that like button. We have live streamed every single day since April without missing a single day. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, like I said, I personally like Josh Allen for fewer than 5.5 rushing attempts. You can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you are going to get a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. A Josh Allen special pick'em tonight, more than less than half a total yard if you are new to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK. And we also got everybody hooked up. Doesn't matter if you're new to Underdog or have been on Underdog for 2 years. As long as you use code FLOCK, you'll get an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for the Monday night game. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that while you can, ladies and gentlemen. But let's move this over. Augustin says, White or Hunt this week? Non-PBR format, we will go Hunt. Full PBR league, I will go with Rashad White. Jake says, PBR, Henderson or Pierce? I'm going to go Henderson. Lamb or Puka? Ooh, I'm going to go Lamb, especially as he's already through his bye if we're looking at rest of season. Lamb, Spears, or Puka, Foreman, the better side. Thanks, Vlogon. Appreciate you, my friend. Probably going to go Lamb and Spears, 2 players through their bye weeks. With Foreman, Hogan Lawrence, love our guy. I don't know how viable he is, though, when we get Roshan in this offense. Now, Broken Euro's coming out saying, 2 and 5, 10-team PBR, keep the current lineup or make any changes. We have Tua, Saquon, James Cook, Garrett Wilson, Flowers, Waller, Downs. And then on the bench, we have Higgins, Najee, Madison, Brian Robinson. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. The only thing that I'd be looking into is T. Higgins versus Josh Downs. Completely fine if we wanted to go Downs over Higgins. I think that's actually how we have it ranked this week, but they are relatively close. It's up to you. That's the only thing that I possibly would change here. David says, trade Mixon for Jacobs and Kincaid. Met is my tight ends. I think Mixon and Jacobs are close enough where if we're going to get Kincaid on top of it, then yes, we will do that. Joshua says, Sub Mason, pick 1 to start. Pierce, Singletary, Boyd, Warren. Appreciate you, big dog. Appreciate you, my man. You have the great matchup for the running backs in Houston. However, the target volume isn't really there. I'm actually probably just going to go Jalen Warren, to be honest with you. Michael says, super flex, start a receiver and 2 flex. Flowers, Kirk, Baker, Nico, and Downs. We're going to go Baker Mayfield for one of the flex. We're going to go Nico Collins at wide receiver, and then we will go Christian Kirk at the other wide receiver slot. Dylan says, 5-2, 10-team at BBR. We have Mahomes, Stroud, Olave, Ayuk, Flowers, Hopkins, Collins, Rice, Eckler, Cook, Moss. Any advice or stay as is? I would say if we could upgrade at wide receiver over someone like DeAndre Hopkins, that would be very appealing. If we could send maybe like DeAndre Hopkins and CJ Stroud to go get a awesome flex player, whether that's running back or wide receiver, that would be great whenever we have Mahomes. Ultimately, it just comes down to like, can we actually get any value for CJ Stroud, right? I would be willing to go out there and try. Definitely think it's a possibility that you don't, but it can't hurt to just send the offer out and see what happens. Mason says flex Kincaid over Deontay with the injury or go with Rashee Rice. I think that we are going to be planning on going with one of the wide receivers, whether that's Rice or Deontay, and we'll just wait to see what the injury report is with Deontay tomorrow. Dude Jazzy Jeff says, would you trade Jacobs to get Mostert? I would rather have Mostert in the short term. In the long term, it's a little bit tougher. We're 5-2 with Achane and Jep Wilson Jr. And would you drop Spears for Kincaid? Yes, go get Kincaid. We have Goddard on by week 10. And also, I just think that Kincaid's a player that can do great and actually expand his value a considerable amount. So I would go out there and I would make that play just to pick up Kincaid. Henry says Kincaid for Nico, where we have Laporta. If you believe that Nico, it's tough. If you believe that Nico can be oh my gosh, what are we doing? If you believe that Nico can be a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 rest of season, then of course you probably have to go out there and do it. Now, AD says Ravens or Chiefs defense. And then the kicker with the highest ceiling. The kicker question, I have no idea. The defense question, I think we're probably going to go with the Ravens. They are larger favorites than the Chiefs in their game against the Cardinals. Zach says 12-team BBR 4-3. We have Hurts, Eckler, Hall, Keenan, Pittman, Hawkinson, Watson. And then on the bench, Jefferson, Palmer, Najee, Kincaid, Kyler. Any moves? Phenomenal team. The only thing is, whenever we get an opportunity to go out there and get some type of value for either Kyler Murray or Dalton Kincaid, once we get a spike week from either player, we probably want to go through and look to sell them for a running back or a wide receiver upgrade just somewhere, considering the fact that this is a team that has both Jalen Hurts and TJ Hawkinson. But outside of that, I mean, this is a great team. We're probably just sitting on our hands. Noah says, have BBR, Diggs, Brown, Puka, Thielen, Moore, Lockett, Gibbs, Pierce, Moss, Robinson, Ford. Trade Diggs, Ingram, Brian, Robinson, Lockett for Hall and Kelsey, and any other trade ideas. So going from Diggs to Kelsey, slight upgrade / lateral move, up to you. Going from Evan Ingram, Brian Robinson, Tyler Lockett, selling this depth for Breece Hall. If this is a league where we're going to start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, hell yes, let's go get the best. Let's go get the studs. Let's sell the depth. Let's get the studs. Let's go get Travis Kelsey and Breece Hall. If it was like a 14-team league or a league where you have 3 flex spots, then it would be much tougher. Now, Valami says, need a W this week, Palmer or Godwin? I'm going to go Godwin. I know a lot of other people would take Palmer. Palmer's been great. Full BBR, thanks for that, Mason. No, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. And yeah, I mean, Godwin had 12 targets last week. Sam says, PBR, trade Olave, Addison, Cook for Bijan and Flowers. Addison to Flowers, downgrade, slight downgrade, long-term. Jefferson comes back. Olave, James Cook versus Bijan Robinson. Give me Bijan Robinson. I am the most biased person to ask this question. Hook 'em Lawrence. I want to tell you Bijan Robinson, but as I am fully willing to admit, I am extremely biased when we say this. Sydney says, Pittman or London? We're definitely going to go Michael Pittman here, my friend. And then Waller or Kincaid for tonight. I am operating under the assumption that Waller's playing. I think we want to go Waller this week and then Kincaid long-term. James says, Rashad White, James Cook, or Darrell Henderson for the flex. Probably going to go James Cook. I think that, honestly, if you look at the usage with how it's trending with Cook, with no Damian Harris, so a running back that you can feel much more comfortable with. Spooky Ghost says, I'm offering Flowers, Andrews, and Waddle for Keenan and Njoku. Do you think that's worth it? So going from Flowers to Njoku is a downgrade. Going from Andrews and Waddle to Keenan, probably a slight upgrade. I don't know. I'd probably rather have the elite level tight end in Andrews just because I really still like Jalen Waddle a ton. If you wanted to sell Andrews and Flowers for Keenan, I'd feel a lot more comfortable about that than including Waddle. Reggie says, need a receiver, a running back 2, and a flex. Between Addison, Breece, White, London, Hollywood, Sutton. Not sure how I feel about putting White in the flex spot for a Thursday. Yeah, you want to put White in the flex. You'd put him at RB2. And honestly, we're probably going to go Addison at wide receiver. Then we're going to go White at RB2 and then move Breece Hall down to the flex. And yeah, you're just never flexing anybody that goes on Thursday, just in case like something were to happen. I mean, we get bad news with someone like Breece Hall down there in that flex. Go Pro Dude says 10 team, double PBR, double flex. 1 and 6. We have Burrow, Goddard, Kincaid, Bijan, JT, AJ, Olave, T, Watson, Palmer, Downs, Bourne, Charbonnet, Algier. Trade Olave, JT, Goddard for Waddle, Kenneth Walker, and Amari. Olave to Waddle, give me Waddle. JT to Walker, give me Walker. Goddard to Amari. We're sitting here with Kincaid so we can make this trade. Yes, let's do it. And then honestly, I think that this team's already kind of set up in a nice way. Just typically, if you're like a 1 and 6 roster, we need to make sure we're going through and selling whatever depth that we have to go get players in the starting lineup that are going to make a difference for right now. Bravo here in 8th service. Longtime member of the flock says who to start at the flex spot. Watson, Kincaid, Downs, Dell, Henderson. Starting Bijan and White at RB. It's either going to be Josh Downs if it's a full PBR format. If it's a non-PBR league, and then or a half PBR league and go Darrell Henderson. I really do think that Kincaid has like more value than these other guys just because the value over replacement versus other tight ends. But just because I really do like Dalton Kincaid at this moment for what he can give you as a tight end, I don't necessarily know if we want to be doing that. We don't want to be jamming him in the flex spot, right? At least in my mind. Okay. Brian says trade DJ for Mixon. We have Stevenson, Cook, Spears, Ford, Kupp, Puka, Godwin, JSN, Gabe. It's a 3 wide receiver league. We have Stafford, Love, Kyler, Kelsey. It is a very fair deal. And whenever we lose Jerome Ford and whenever we really need help out running back here, I think it's one that we can go ahead and make. Side note, don't love rostering 3 quarterbacks. No pun intended. We probably do want to drop Jordan Love here, especially if we're going to get Kyler back to play with Stafford soon. Now, Arindu coming out saying, loving the daily streams. Thank you so much. Best out here. Have to start 2. Olave, Sanders, DeMercado. We're going to go Olave and DeMercado. DeMercado, I don't think he's as good as Miles Sanders, but he has more of a guaranteed workload. And then start Love or Lawrence. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. It's actually funny that Love's been better than Lawrence this season, but I will go Lawrence. Jordan says 16-team league. Drop Jeff Wilson, Justice Hill, Mingo for Roshan. I probably drop Jonathan Mingo if this is that 16-team format. I mean, I don't want to drop Jeff Wilson Jr. just because he didn't really have a large role his first week back in, right? And in that 16-team league, it would be a little bit tougher to find running back than receiver. Now, Ty coming out saying 10-team PBR for the flex. Mahomes, CMC, Jacobs, AJ Brown, Adams, Evans, Kittle. And then on the bench, Pittman, Watson. Somehow I'm 3 and 4. Do we make any trades? If you wanted to go and sell Pittman and Kittle and go get an elite level tight end, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Or if you could sell like Devontae Adams and Kittle or Mike Evans and Kittle and go get to Kelsey for the Mahomes stack, I would love that. Dipset says Hunt or White. Happy BR. We're going to go White. And also bench Ayuk with no Purdy. Probably not because you'll probably have no Debo here as well. Barry says 12-team PBR sit 2. Ramondre, White, Ridley, Downs. You demand. Appreciate you, my friend. We're going to be benching Ramondre and White. I'm sorry, Ramondre and Ridley. I apologize. Start White and Downs here. No. I can't do that. Or to bench Ridley and Downs. Start White and Ramondre. I can't play Downs over Ramondre just yet. I have significantly more Downs in our underdog draft, so I'm hoping he is better, but it is tough. Jacob says 5 and 2, 12-team PBR. We have Allen, Bijan, Kamara, Achan, Zeke, AJ Brown, Debo, Jacoby, Rashee Rice, JSN, MT, Logan Thomas, Jonnu. Should I accept Eckler and Kincaid for Bijan? Thanks, Flock. Felt my tight end. Oh, hell yes. I love this move, my friend. I think Bijan, Eckler, really going to be your personal preference rest of season in a full PPR league. You already have Eckler through the bye week as well. And if you're going to get Dalton Kincaid, here's an immediate upgrade over those tight ends that we have with upside down the road. I really like it. Jay Limit says full PPR start 2. Gabe Davis, Watson, DeMercado, Royce, or Doss down. The team's starting right now. Thanks for all you do, brother. No, thank you, my man. We're going to go most likely with Josh Downs and Demercado. And that, let me see what the pick'em is for Downs. I know that they moved Gabe Davis more than less than 40 receiving yards for tonight's game on Underdog. Just give me 1 second to see if they have one out for Josh Downs. I want to see some realistic expectations with Downs. Am I too high on him? Yeah, he's at 45.5 receiving yards. He is higher than Gabe Davis. Looks like we can go with him. I think we probably go Demercado and Josh Downs here. Don't love Demercado, but I mean, he played 85% of the snaps in Arizona this past week. Colin says PBR need a receiver 2 and a flex. Kirk, Moore, and Brandon Ayuk. Probably going to go Ayuk and Moore unless we have Deebo Samuel playing and no Brock Purdy. If we have Deebo playing and no Brock Purdy, then we are going to go Kirk over Ayuk. You Stink says get off for Jefferson, Puka, and Laporta for Kelsey and Jamar. It's a non-BBR format where we're 5-2. Well, give me Chase over Jefferson and give me Kelsey over Puka and Laporta, especially in a non-PPR format. So I'm going to go Kelsey and Jamar here, even on a 5-2 team where we're thinking a little more long-term. Diddy says 12-team PPR, which of my wide receivers should we sit/start? DJ Moore, Smith, Downs, Sutton, Hollywood. I would rank these guys DJ Moore, Smith, Downs, Hollywood, and then lastly, Cortland Sutton. I understand, yes, that you've had Devonta Smith as the most disappointing wide receiver out of this group so far, but it is a very good matchup going up against Washington. Jordan says Geno or Pickett. Really tough spot with a really bad matchup for Geno going up against Cleveland. With the injury news that we have regarding Deontay Johnson and Freiermuth, I probably go Geno though. Michael says JSN or Gabe Davis, shafted the last 2 weeks by Gabe. Yeah, and that's what Gabe's going to do, right? Gabe's going to get you 0 points, 0 points, 0 points, 0 points, 30 points. You know, he's the George Kittle of the wide receiver position. It looks like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett will both be playing this week, and it's a very tough matchup against Cleveland. So I will be going with Gabe Davis. Kiki says JT and Anderson for Brees. I think you can make this move if you really wanted to. Like, full transparency, I have like JT maybe ahead of Brees Hall rest of season. I'm a big JT guy. I think it's a fair trade and up to you. Prime Iverson says 5-2, have BBR. We have Lamar, Hall, Pacheco, Kyron, Connor, Spears, Jefferson, Olave, Ayuk, Moore, Kittle. Trade Kyron for Hollywood or trade Connor for Nico Collins. 5-2, I'm going to keep Kyron just because we are thinking a little more long-term here. If we were going to make one of the trades, we would trade James Conner for Nico Collins. But ultimately, I don't think that's a move that we have to make whenever we are 5-2 and can afford to think a little more long-term. Now, Combat Cash coming out saying 12-team PBR traded Deontay for Javonte. I'm not too excited about either player. I mean, obviously not good news with Deontay missing practice. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are 3 likes away from 300 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you are going to get a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. One of my favorite pick'ems for tonight is Josh Allen for fewer than 5.5 rushing attempts. And if you're new to Underdog with code FLOCK, you're going to get a Josh Allen special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for tonight's game. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be getting an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for Monday night's game. That's going to be a Flock exclusive, so please make sure you take advantage of it. But Mr. Dang says, Hurts, Minshew, Adams, Evans, Pittman, Amari, Hollywood, Henry, Kamara, Montgomery, Spears, Kelsey, Ingram. I think if we could trade Ingram and Henry and go get an upgrade at running back, it'd make a lot of sense. We're going to start Hurts at quarterback, wide receiver. We're going to go Adams, Pittman, running back. We're going to be going Kamara, Henry, Kelsey tight end. For the flex, we'll go Evans. But since Evans plays tonight, keep in mind, don't play a Thursday night guy in the flex. So instead, put Evans wide receiver 2 and move down Devontae Adams into that flex spot since he plays on Monday. just in case anything happens. Zach says 12 team, full BBR, single flex, 3 and 4. Stafford, Swift, Montgomery, Gibbs, Cook, Wilson, Kupp, Olave, Ingram. James Cook or Olave at the flex. Ooh, tough spot. Probably going to go James Cook, if I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, with Cook, with no Damian Harris, you just have a very safe workload and a very good offense. And then also trade Gibbs for Jacobs and Lawrence. Yes, we probably trade Gibbs for Jacobs and Lawrence, knowing that we will get Montgomery back in the long term. Josu says 12-team BBR, 6-point touchdown, single flex, and a quarterback. We have Mayfield, Fields, JT, Bijan, Hockenson, Diggs, Nico Smith, Lockett. Traded Myers, Moss, Kincaid for Jalen Hurts. What are your thoughts? Phenomenal deal. If you just go out there and pick him up off waivers, I think we go ahead and do it. Just wait until we get Justin Fields back in 2 weeks. Then we're going to be looking to see if we can package together Fields with someone else. My name's Blue says JSN or DeMercado at the flex this week. We will go DeMercado, even though, you know, I love JSN. Foster says 10-team full BBR. We have Hurts, Bijan, Jacobs, Kupp, Watson, T, Schultz, Jefferson, JSN, Singletary, and Mercado, Komet. Any moves? Worried about both running backs. How do you feel about Arthur Smith's comments today? Obviously, the video was very bad. Arthur Smith is not my friend. I will say that. Honestly, I don't think we look to make any moves, though. The only thing I'd say is if you are maybe like 1-6, 2-5, then at that point, you probably need to look to go ahead and sell Justin Jefferson. But as this team stands now, honestly, you're in a great spot. Okay. Do we need to swing this back to the other page? Yes, we do. Just give me 1 second to go see what the dog's doing. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So we're going to have to pull this up on that other page. Our last question was from Foster. And we're going to answer, we're going to go out of order just a bit. Don't think I missed your question, but I don't want to waste any time here. We're coming up on kickoff. Brett says trade Etienne and Thielen for Eckler and Higgins. Give me Eckler over Etienne, Thielen versus Higgins. I think it's up to you. Most people would tell you to keep Etienne and Thielen as they've been much better this season. And you know, I have way more Etienne than I do either Eckler or Higgins. Critical says Stroud, Barkley, Gibbs, Adams, Ridley, Goddard, Tank, Rashee Rice, Downs, Kyler, H.N., Jacobs, Boyd, Ferguson. 12-team BBR, we need a wide receiver too. I think we're going to be starting out of this list. Honestly, Calvin Ridley, we're going to go Josh Downs over Calvin Ridley. It's either Calvin Ridley or Josh Downs. It is going to be up to you there. I think smart people probably start Ridley. I'm having a hard time. I have way more Downs than Ridley, so I am biased though. And then you have so much wide receiver help. You could go out there and you could look to make a 2-for-1 deal to get an upgrade in the starting lineup. You can just afford it if you wanted it. Okay. So like we said, our last question was from Foster. Our next one, Jalen Hurts has the live sports. Devonta Smith, Scary Terry, or Hunt at the flex. Fly goes fly. Fly goes fly. We're going to go Devonta Smith in a great matchup against Washington. Ryan says 12-team PPR. Lamar, Kyron, Jacobs, Cook, Henderson, Warren, Lamb, Smith, Zay, Palmer, Rashid, Jameson, Ferguson. 3 and 4 need to win now. What can we do? Keep the content rolling. Appreciate you, my friend. Very boring answer. Sucks to say it, but if Kyron Williams misses 3 weeks and he has the bye week, you're going to be seeing Kyron Williams miss like pretty much half of the regular season from this point. So I would be looking to just go through on a team that's 3 and 4, needs wins now. I would be looking to just sell low on Kyron Williams, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like if you wanted to sell Kyron Williams and or Rashee Rice, someone else that has that long-term upside, and just go get an RB that you're very comfortable about putting in the starting lineup, I'd be fine with that. You're going to have to probably include someone like Rice, someone that people are excited to go get though. Okay, we already answered Brett's question, so we can swing this back around. Perfect, ladies and gentlemen. JFK the Go coming out says, I have Stroud, Lawrence, Kyler in a Superflex Dynasty. Should we trade one? Hell no, my man. We have 3 quarterbacks that we're excited about playing right now and have long-term upside. We're in the perfect spot. Darcy says 12-team PPR. We have Herbert, Pollard, Taylor, Diggs, Puka. 5 and 2. Jonnu at tight end. Would you trade Hall, Puka, Jonnu for Walker, Ingram, Higgins, and Charbonnet? So Hall to Walker, upgrade. Puka to Higgins, downgrade. Jonnu to Ingram, upgrade. I understand the thought process here. I think we need to be getting a better tight end, though, if we're doing it. Elias says, star 1 for wide receiver 2. Godwin, McLaurin, or Deontay. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. And we are going to go ahead. We're going to go Godwin here. You don't even know if Deontay is going to be good to go this week. Uncle Fresh says, PBR start 2, 2, and 1. Higgins, Deontay, Lamb, Palmer, London, White, Brees, Ramondre. We're going to go White, Brees at running back. We are going to be going with Lamb and Higgins wide receiver. And for that flex spot, we will go Ramondre Stevenson. Mo says, start Ayuk or Rashad White. Thanks. Appreciate you, my friend. Because we don't have the certainty with either Brock Purdy or Deebo Samuel, it's very difficult to answer this question. If you knew that Brock Purdy was playing and Deebo Samuel wasn't, it would be Brandon Ayuk by a mile, but we just simply do not know that. So I don't know, my friend. I think it is up to you. Can everybody help out Momo? Can you spam the chat? Are you going to go Brandon Ayuk possibly with Sam Darnold or Rashad White? Ayuk or Darnold? I'm sorry. Ayuk or White. I apologize. Now, Steve says, do I trade Allen, Adams, and Pacheco for Jefferson and Lawrence? We're 5 and 2. Adams to Jefferson upgrade. Allen and Pacheco to Lawrence. No, we can't do it. It's too much of a downgrade on that front. If you could keep Isaiah Pacheco, then at that point, you would be willing to pull the trigger. But not including Pacheco, even if we have strong running backs. Tron says, sit 2, start 2, full BBR. Stevenson, Hunt, James Cook, Gus. We're going to be starting James Cook, and I hate to say it, I have way more Kareem Hunt than Ramondre Stevenson in underdog drafts, but I probably am going to be going Ramondre Stevenson in a full PPR format over Hunt. Hunt's going to split with Strong, and he doesn't catch passes. At least he hasn't this year. Aaron says, Olave, Pittman, Thielen, Foreman, pick 2. We're going to be going with Pittman and Thielen. And should we play Minshew, Russ, or Kenny Pickett? Not going to be looking at Kenny Pickett, especially with the injuries that we have in Pittsburgh. It's going to be down between Minshew and Russ. I have them ranked literally back-to-back, 16 and 17. I do think it's up to you. I have them at 16, 17. So it is up to you if you want Minshew. But just please do not play Kenny Pickett here. Now, Bryson says 2 and 5, 10-team PBR single flex. We have Goff, Barkley, Eckler, Lamb, Smith, Goddard, Flowers, Burrow, Javonte, Ridley, Mixon, Deontay, Kincaid. Any moves, we want to win. I mean, I would love to go out there and get that upgraded quarterback, but we honestly may already naturally have that with Joe Burrow being fully healthy. So really the only thing I would look to do is if you could take a depth running back like Javonte Williams and send him with Dallas Goedert and go get an elite tight end, that would be interesting because right now we're kind of in an awkward spot where we have 2 tight ends that we feel great about, we feel good about, but they're not like elite options, right? So then we're going to be playing the Kincaid versus Goddard game going forward. I'd rather just go trade for an elite level guy and then send the other guy off in a package for an upgrade elsewhere in the starting lineup. Obviously, that would take 2 deals, but I think it would be interesting to look at. Joseph says Kincaid, Sutton, or Deontay for the flex. We're going to go with a wide receiver. I don't know if that'll be Deontay. If he plays, of course, we're going to go Deontay. If he doesn't, we will go Sutton. I really like Kincaid. I think Kincaid's going to do great with no Dawson Knox. I wish I had way more of him than I do. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it will be tough to say that that's a direction that we need to be going in right this second. Specifically for the flex. Chief Reefer says, Happy BR start 2. Mixon, Godwin, Johnson, Hunt, and Watson. Assuming that's Deontay Johnson. We're going to go Mixon and Godwin. If it was a non-PBR, we'd go Mixon and Hunt. I'm just not as excited about Hunt as... I mean, I would love to come out here and lie and say, oh, Hunt's going to be a top 10 RB this week. It's just hard to project that out in a bad offense when he's split in the backfield, and he's been very inefficient. Now, Muhammad coming out saying, Happy BR 12-team league. We have Goff, Jacobs, Kamara, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, Keenan, Puka, Kittle, Fields, James Cook, Gabe, Judy, Anderson. What can we do to prepare for playoffs? 6-1 record. Oh, love the team then. I mean, if you could go through and sell Amon-Ra St. Brown or Keenan Allen and go get Justin Jefferson, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Another interesting trade would be sending maybe like, say, Darrell Henderson and Alvin Kamara to a team that's struggling with running back depth and just going and getting an upgrade with this being a half PPR format. Less excited about Kamara than I would be if it was a full PPR league. Turbid Player says 10-team double flex. We have Hurts, Cook, Hall, Adams, Kupp, Puka, Andrews, Addison, Roschon, Watson, Moss, Dell, Kyler. We need some trade ideas. I think that we're probably going to be sitting on our hands for right this second. We have a lot of these players coming back from injuries and are going to naturally increase their value as the season goes on. I do think that if in a week we have Kyler Murray out there producing and he's actually looking pretty damn good, it would be very interesting to send Kyler in a double flex format with one of these depth pieces like Tank Dell to go get an upgrade at wide receiver if we have Jalen Hurts. A great team. Jonathan says McLaurin for Smith. Is it a clear upgrade? In my mind, it is. Similar target volume, much better offense, and I want to believe a better receiver. So I'm going to go Smith. Just a Chill Gamer says, what's up, Mason? Rest of season, rate these guys. Ridley, Watson, Dell, JSN, Zay. Just traded Lockett for Ridley because I believe. Not going to fault you for that price. If I'm going to be ranking these guys from here, I'm going to go Ridley, Watson, JSN, Dell, Zay Jones. I think, honestly, those guys at the top are kind of up to you. The top three players are all in about the same tier. I could literally go back and forth. Then it's a clear tier down to Tank Dell. Then it's another clear tier down to Zay Jones. I think you maybe even cut Jones. Now, Durag says 10-team full BBR. We have Burrow, Pacheco, Walker, Tyreek, Lamb, Ingram, Pierce, McLaurin, Algier, Hunt, Deontay, Shaheed, JSN on the IR. We have Herbert, Kyron. Any moves? Not necessarily. I mean, this is a team where we just have so much depth that we're able to get by without Herbert and Kyron Williams for right now. I mean, if you wanted to see if we could sell Hunt and Rashee Rice and go get like a stud long-term wide receiver if you don't need Kareem Hunt right this second, I'm not going to fault you for it. But with those running back injuries, maybe that's not something we would love to do. Okay. Let's move this over and... Expired Cal says 10 TPBR single flex. Should we start James Cook or Jahmyr Gibbs? It will be tough for me. I mean, it looks like David Montgomery will not be playing. Gibbs will be in a better offense. We're going to go Gibbs. Aaron says, have BBR Downs, Higgins, Javonte, Myers, Dell. Pick one out of them. We're going to go Myers. And then one out of Pitts, Ferguson, McBride, and Schultz. We'll go Pitts, even if we're not as excited about it as you would like to be. Keller says 2 and 5, full BBR. We have Stroud, Lawrence, Bijan, Brees, Warren, Henderson, Waddle, Evans, Wilson, Collins, Pickens, KJ, Jefferson, Kelsey. Just got Allen sent. Oh my gosh, phenomenal trade for Allen there. And you got Jefferson for, oh my gosh, you robbed that man. I wouldn't mind turning around and on a 2 and 5 roster as well. Then at that point, looking to just flip Justin Jefferson for an immediate profit and get some points into the starting lineup. It's obviously 2 and 5 anything a little more short-term than long-term. Oh, especially if you have Montgomery where we have that long-term production as is. Jake says trade T. Laporta for Michael Thomas, Rashee Rice. Give me T over Rice. Give me Laporta over Thomas, so hell no. So we have Goddard, so I understand the thought process. But just ultimately, you need a much better price point if you are going to go through and if you're going to be selling Sam Laporta here. You need a much better price. Now, Colton says 10-team BBR 7-0. We have Howell, Etienne, Walker, Hill, Puka, Kelsey, Mostert, Higgins, Godwin, Fields, Hall, Swift, Ayuk, Jones, HN on the IR. Want to finish strong. Feel like we need a quarterback. 100%. I mean, you can go out there and get that upgrade at QB, but the thing is, we're 7-0. We have Fields coming back in a few weeks. You have Devon Achane coming back in a few weeks. So, to be completely honest with you, I think that we are probably going to be sitting on our hands for right now, waiting until Justin Fields comes back and Justin Fields starts to produce again. Then at that point, we can afford to go out and sell Fields in a package to go get a top 3 quarterback, but you're just in the position of strength here. You're 7-0. We can afford to wait until our injured players are back in. Jacob says start Collins, Evans, or Myers, debating Evans. I'm going to go ahead. Honestly, I'm probably going to take Nico Collins. I just really like the matchup against Carolina's defense. But if you wanted to go Evans, you can. It's just a tough spot going up against Buffalo. Adravit says James Cook, Henry, Hopkins, Lockett, Watson. We need to pick 4. So we essentially need to just bench 1. If we just need to bench 1 of these guys, I'm going to be benching DeAndre Hopkins. No faith in Hopkins at the moment with Treylon Burks coming back in and with uncertain quarterback play in Tennessee. Cammy, always happy to see you, says 5-2 at BBR. Need a running back 2 and a flex. Javonte, Hubbard, Moss, DK, Amari down. Starting Jacobs, Kirk, Collins. Appreciate you. No, appreciate you, my friend. I think we are going to go ahead. We're probably going to be taking... It's tough because obviously you have PJ Walker for Amari. You have a tough matchup for DK. Probably going to go DK at wide receiver. And then for the at the flex spot. And then we are going to be going with Javonte at RB. I do think that we expect Jonathan Taylor to continue to expand his role as the season progresses. So we should be less and less excited about Moss. But Josh says 12-team double flex. We have Howell, Kyler, Hall, Kamara, Brian Robinson, Hill, London, JSN, Sutton, Javonte Downs, Boyd, or Jameson. 5-2. Great team. We're waiting until we get Kyler back in. Full BBR format. We can look to hold Kamara. I hate to give you this answer. I know it's the most boring answer that we can give you. 5-2 roster. We have the flexibility to just go through and wait for our injured guys to come back in and start producing. And on top of that, I mean, we do have a considerable amount of value here at the same time. So I do think that we honestly just kind of want to sit on our hands and just continue to churn waivers. Vidger says 16-team league, Brian Robinson, Pickens, and Goddard for Jefferson, Waller, and Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney's not worth a roster spot. I guess actually 16-team league, I guess he is. Going from Goddard to Waller, slight downgrade. Brian Robinson to Pickens to Jefferson. It's difficult because this is a 16-team format where it's going to be much tougher to find that running back depth than it would be in that 10-team or 12-team league. But still, I think this is a very reasonable price if we can afford to think about long-term upside where we do make this move. Now, Turbid Player also, should we sell? Also, should I wait to sell after the Jalen Hurts buy? Honestly, no. I mean, if you're going to be looking at selling as that second quarterback when you have Jalen Hurts, you have to go through his buy. Ultimately, we can always go to the waiver wire to have a 1-week fill-in, right? At least in my thoughts. Francis, start London or Palmer if healthy. We're going to go Palmer if healthy. And when you sell Brian Robinson Jr. or hold, I would sell Brian Robinson Jr. He's been surviving off of touchdown volume over the past few weeks, but the volume is going down and the offense just doesn't look good. So I'm a little bit worried. Now, real quick, Alexis will be our next question, but we are about 4 likes away from 400 likes on this stream. If you have not done so already, please go down there, hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We're going to be live streaming every single day until 2024. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, one of my favorite pick'ems for tonight is going to be Josh Allen for fewer than 5.5 rushing attempts. You can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK. You are going to be getting a 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. A Josh Allen special pick on more than less than half a total yard for the game tonight. And on top of that, an Amon-Ra St. Brown exclusive Flock special pick'em for a Monday night as well. So please make sure you take advantage. Now, Lexus says got offered Taylor, Smith, and Mostert for Hall in one of Diggs, Puka, or Lamb. So it'd be selling Puka out of these guys. So Hall to Taylor, up to you. Puka versus Smith and Mostert. If you needed some running back depth and you needed a viable running back too, I think you can do it. Just as long as you're selling Puka and not Diggs. If you're selling Diggs, then it's a massive loss. Colin says, in a PPR league, if I package Ayuk, Moore, and Laporta, what wide receiver should I be looking for? I think, honestly, with Laporta, I mean, he was that sell-high guy for us a few weeks back because people were talking about having him over Hawkinson, having him over Andrews, which I thought was crazy. But, I mean, as we said back then, as I'll say now, he's my tight end 4 rest of season. We definitely need to be charging a premium. I think if you're selling Ayuk and Laporta, I definitely want to be getting to like a round 1 receiver like Keenan Allen. Now, DeJohn coming out saying, hey, Mason, keep grinding, bro. Thank you, my man. 14-team league. Just traded Mahomes, Dell, Algier for Hill, Pearson, Love. Did I win? Mahomes to Tyreek Hill, Tyreek by a mile. Dell to Pierce, who cares? Algier to Love, who cares? 100%, I think that you won going and getting Tyreek Hill, taking advantage of the worries that other people have with his hip injury. He's already saying that he is good to go, not worried about it. Now we have Love, Hill, Ridley, CMC, White, Laporta, London. Should we do Pierce over White? No, definitely please start Rachaad White this week. And in a 14-team league, this is freaking nuts having Tyreek and CMC on the same roster. It's all about going through and working the waiver wire from here. Now, TB Houston says 12-team PPR trade Diggs and Kincaid for Adams, Brian Robinson, Nico. No, sir, we're going to keep Diggs and Kincaid. I mean, he has Allen. So if he has Allen, we definitely want to be charging a higher premium. Yeah, especially if you're not coming out here and saying like, oh, I have Kelsey or anything at tight end. I mean, right now we can safely say that Kincaid's going to be a very exciting tight end the rest of the way with no Dawson Knox. This is a great offense. And I mean, just the overall target should go up dramatically. Now, Dang Shoot says initial Dynasty starters in 2021 were Rodgers, Carson, Gibson, Higgins, Allen Robinson, Waller, Hopkins, Melvin Gordon. I know that you're blaming this on yourself, my man, but I think this is just a great lesson that people need to take away in Dynasty. Is that like in Dynasty, and I'm guilty of it, especially when I first started playing Dynasty. You think that you draft a team and you're for sure confident that you know what it's going to look like 5 years from now. But in reality, we have no idea what's going to happen this week. Projecting out 2 years from now is damn near impossible. Now we have Mahomes, Etienne, Hall, A.J. Brown, Puka, Njoku, Komet, Wilson, Gibbs, Higgins. I contend every year. Thanks for the help. No, congrats, my man. Phenomenal team now. That is incredible how you're able to turn that around in literally just 2 years. Chase says start 2, flex 1. Diggs, St. Brown, Evans, Mostert. We're going to be going Diggs, St. Brown, and flexing Mostert. Please bench Evans here. Eric says full BBR start 2 running backs. Cooks, JT, Stevenson, or Hunt. We're going to be going JT and James Cook, my friend. Go JT and James Cook. And we're going to have to pull this around to our next screen. And as I do this, we're going to go out of order for just 1 second. Moses coming out with our next question. Saying, rate my team, full BBR, double flex. I'm 5-2, number 1 seed. We have Herbert, Jones, Swift, H.N. Akers, Tyreek, Smith, Kirk, Addison, Mingo, Renfro, JSN, Goddard, Kincaid, McBride. Great team. Obviously, we're 5-2 for a reason. I think it'd be interesting if we could sell like Addison in a smaller piece and go get Jefferson for that long-term play. Like, you can go Addison and Dallas Goddard and somehow swindle ourselves into Jefferson. That make a lot of sense. And these wide receivers that have a cap ceiling as well are going to be guys that I'm probably looking to go ahead and let go of. Someone like, let's call like Hunter Renfrow the perfect example of that, right? Now, Chase's, I'm sorry, we already answered Chase's. We already answered Eric's. Gucci Broomstick coming out saying 12-team PBR double flex. Traded Saquon, Amari, Andrews for Tyreek Waller. Oh, great move. See, Amari versus Waller up to you. Saquon and Andrews versus Tyreek. I don't want to say great move. I like it. I like going and buying low on Tyreek. Now we have Goff, Ramondre Walker, Chase, Tyreek, Diggs. Oh, yes. I mean, full BBR format, 12-team league, having Chase, Tyreek, and Diggs together. I don't even know how you lose. Now, Combat Cash Club says 12-team BBR double flex. We have Tua, Geno, Stevenson, Ramondre Foreman, Jamal, Javonte, Akers, Komet, Kincaid, Waddle, Smith, Ayuk, Flowers, Gabe Davis, Dell. Any changes and who to start at running back? Appreciate you as always, my friend. We are going to be going with Ramondre Stevenson and honestly, either Deonta Foreman or Javonte Williams, up to you. I loved Deonta Foreman last week, but this week's going to be much harder with him splitting the backfield. And then definitely be playing a wide receiver in the flex. We're going to go Waddle, Ayuk, and then Smith. Yeah, play Smith and Flowers. Play both wide receivers in those flex spots, my friend. Now, Shad says 2 quarterback PBR 5-2. Any trades? We have Herbert, Stroud, Kyler, Tyrod Pollard, JT, Gibbs, White, Spears, Roschon, Jefferson, Waddle, Pittman, DK, Hollywood, JSN, Johnson, and Kelsey. I love the team on a 2-quarterback build. I would say if we could sell Tyrod and get an upgrade legitimately anywhere to the Daniel Jones team, that make a lot of sense now that we have Herbert and Stroud both through their buys already. Just Sherman says, if Walker's out, we have Eckler, Hall, Gibbs, Charbonnet, start 3. We're going to go with the first 3, even if Walker is out. McKeed says, pick 2, Gabe Davis, Bourne, Sanders, Hubbard, and Henderson. We're going to be going with Gabe Davis and Darrell Henderson, my friend. Now, we already answered Moses' question, so we can swing this back around. Niner Rick says, start Hunt or Madison. We will go with Kareem Hunt with no Jerome Ford, my friend. Kenneth says, flex Waller or James Cook. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. We are going to go James Cook with no Damian Harris. Jacob says, start Henry or Metcalf in the flex. We're going to go Henry. Metcalf as a tough matchup. Dab My Corona says, Tank Dell, Sanders, or Chris Godwin rest of season. I'm going to go Chris Godwin. Green Blogger says, weird league question. Who are you starting? Shakir, Otten, or Latavius? Full PB, actually, probably going to go Latavius regardless with no Damian Harris. He did almost play 50% of the snaps, even if obviously you're getting considerably more touches for James Cook. We're going to go Latavius. Dominic says 4-3 first year. Hell yes. 10-team full BBR. We have Hurts, Stroud, Mixon, Cook, Mostert, Spears, Chase, St. Brown. Oh, great team. Great team. I would say if you could possibly send off Stroud and Kittle to get to Hawkinson, to get to Andrews, I think that would make a lot of sense. Or honestly, one of those depth wide receivers like Rice and Kittle and throw in Pitts if it's going to get it done. I mean, that's just a team that you are loaded up and we can afford to make that move. Ollie says trade Kyron and Montgomery and receive Adams and Aaron Jones. If it depends on your record. If you're like 6-1, probably not. We wait long term. If you need points now, then yes. Alex says Godwin or Palmer and why? We're going to go Godwin because we have the larger sample of him commanding volume and Palmer is not 100% healthy at the moment. Pino says Hunt or Javonte or Kincaid. We're going to go Kareem Hunt for the flex, my friend. Charles says 12-team BBR, single quarterback, single flex. We have Lawrence, Pollard, Etienne, Chase, Lamb, Waller, Amari, Judy, Zay, JSN, Charbonnet, Dalvin, Ferguson, Kyler. Thinking of trading Amari. Any advice or potential trades to make? I'm 5-2. Love the team, my friend. I'd say at this point, if you're looking to sell Amari, it's probably a little bit too late. I mean, especially with the Watson injury now, I would rather wait on a 5-2 roster for a little bit more of a long-term play. I think if you wanted to send, say like Amari and Kyler, if we could somehow make a swing for Jefferson. In reality, I think going from Lamb to Jefferson make a lot of sense here. We have some depth at wide receiver that we can play for the time being. And then obviously we have the long-term upside for Jefferson on a 5-2 team. It's a single flex league, so we should be able to get by with a lack of production for right now. I think that'd make a lot of sense. And outside of that, really nice spot. I mean, you have Lawrence as a viable play right now, and you do have Kyler in the long term. But it's funny to see a lot of teams have Kyler and Lawrence together. Wendell says 12-team, 2 receiver at BBR, single flex, 6-1. We have Tua, Pacheco, Pollard, Hill, Adams, Kittle, Jacoby, Hunt, Singletary, Hopkins, Kincaid, H. Do we trade Myers and Pacheco for Bijan? I personally would, but I personally am an idiot and extremely biased. Hook 'em horns. Now, Muskin Naval says Diggs, Jefferson, Mixon, or Tyreek, Walker, Ayuk, Madison. Going from Diggs to Tyreek, upgrade. Jefferson to Walker, downgrade. Or let's go Mixon to Walker, upgrade. Jefferson to Ayuk and Madison, big time downgrade. I think if you are a 5-2, 6-1 team, I probably prefer the Jefferson side. If you are 1-6, 2-5, I probably prefer the Tyreek side. If you're somewhere in the middle, it's going to be up to you. Mario says trading Pittman in a 4th for Burrow and Pollard. Oh, great trade. Yeah, go get Burrow and Pollard, assuming it's a dynasty league. Green Blogger says this week rank these receivers: Kupp, Chase, Rice, JSN, Dell, and Ridley. We're going to go Kupp, Chase, Ridley, Rice, Dell, JSN. Metcalf should play, and it's a very tough matchup going up against the Browns for Seattle. Now, Apollo Water coming out says, would you trade Gibbs and Ramadre for Bijan? I personally would, but I personally am an idiot. Pollard and Anderson, other running backs are Kyron. I'm 5-2. Yes, yeah, let's go get Bijan if we can. Jordan says, Goff, Lawrence, Kyler, Waller, Kincaid, Walker, Bijan, Gibbs, Madison. Feel like I'm rostering too many quarterbacks tied in, especially with the same bye week. And I'm not too concerned about that. If you wanted to sell Goff or Kyler, sell Lawrence. I know we have Kyler. Never mind. Yeah, once we get Kyler back in, then hell yeah, we look to sell a quarterback if we can. The issue is like, what quarterback are we going to get a considerable amount of value for? And then I would be willing to just sell Darren Waller in a package with like Alexander Madison to go get a long-term upgrade at running back. I think that long-term you may prefer to have Kincaid over Darren Waller, if I'm going to be honest with you. Especially as you have Knox on the IR. I do think that it makes Darren Waller expendable for this team, to be honest. Okay. Now, One Love says, start 2. Jones, Ridley, Foreman, and Charbonnet if Walker's out. We are going to go Jones, Charbonnet if Walker's out. Jones, Ridley if Walker plays. Kojin says 10-team PBR 4-3. We have Hurts, Bijan, Pollard, Allen, Adams, Andrews, Olave. And then on the bench, we have Watson, Spears, Higgins, London, JSN. Would you trade Hurts and Higgins for St. Brown, Fields, and Goff? Chance of Henry to the Cowboys. I think Henry to Baltimore makes a lot more sense. I feel like the Cowboys have had every opportunity to bring in a running back, and they've decided not to. So, yeah, I would honestly do this deal. I'd rather have St. Brown over Hurts. And then if we sell Hurts, getting Fields and Goff or Higgins. Honestly, yes, the majority of times, my friend, I want the elite level quarterback, but that's a very fair price point to sell. Noah says 14-team PBR 4-3 record. Can't decide on a flex. We have Gabe Davis, Gus Edwards, Kendrick Bourne, or John Dotson. Who we're going to go with? Thanks. Thank you, my friend. I think we're going to be going with Gus Edwards. Great matchup going up against Arizona, where they are almost 9-point favorites. Gypsy Sports says Hawkinson, or do we go with Kincaid tonight? Please go Hawkinson. Zach says trade Gibbs for Jacobs. We have Montgomery. I would rather have Jacobs rest of season, my friend. Griffin says we have Mahomes, Cup, Devontae, Bijan, Achane, Kincaid, Amari, Rashad, Downs, Moss, Roshan, Judy. Bourne, I'm 2-5. Should we try to package Achane and Devontae? I would say yes. Let's try to sell Devon Achane. I don't know if Devontae Adams is the guy we want to be selling. I'd be looking to sell Achane and Amari to get the best running back or wide receiver that we can. With Adams, you're going to be selling him at a low point, and with Amari, you're going to be selling him at a low point as well. But the issue is, like, we don't know the health of Watson. So I know we can start Adams right now, which is something that we need. We need players that we can start right now for 2-5. So yeah, we're not going to do Adams, but selling HN on a 2-5 roster makes a lot of sense. Now, Kevin says, would you trade Etienne, Godwin, Javonte for JT, Nico, and Aaron Jones? Etienne to JT, downgrade. Godwin to Nico, slide upgrade. Javonte to Aaron Jones, slide upgrade. I'm going to keep the best player. I'm going to keep Etienne. Jeremy says, trade away Ford, Waddle, Strong for Addison, Stevenson, Fields, Stafford. I mean, Stafford is my starting quarterback. Waddle to Addison, downgrade. Ford to Stevenson, upgrade. Strong, who cares? I think it's a fair deal. You can make this play if you wanted. Okay. K3 says 5-2, 12-team league. We have Herbert, Etienne, Pollard, AJ Brown, Nico, Waller, JT in the flex, HN on the IR. Traded Swift for Pollard. Oh, I like the deal. As long as we have no Derrick Henry to Dallas, I like the deal, my friend. Dominic says, after Hurts bye week, I sell CJ and Kittle. Now, I'm going to do that now, my friend. I've never been holding on a backup quarterback just because of bye. I think that we can always go through and, we can just look to pick up a quarterback for a single week for the bye. Cole says traded Puka, Hollywood White for Jefferson, Montgomery, Sanders. It's a 10-team league. Puka to Jefferson, massive upgrade if we're if we are 4-3. Hollywood to Montgomery, give me Montgomery. White to Sanders, give me White. 100%, let's go out and make this deal, especially if it's a 10-team league. I understand that we're giving up the short-term production. We're not that far away from first place. I think that this puts us in a little bit of a compromising position in the short term, but since it's a shallower format, we can get away with it. Ethan says 10-team PBR 1-6. We have Kirk, Pollard, Bijan, Chase, Adams, Jonnu. Should pick up a new tight end off waivers. I would like that if we could. And then do we started the flex between JT, Smith, Palmer, DK, or Dobbs? We're going to go JT at the flex spot, my friend. And yeah, if we could pick up a new tight end off waivers over Jonnu Smith, I definitely would. Trent says, pick 2, Gibbs, Ayuk, Myers, Higgins. I'm going to be going with Gibbs and Myers with Brock Purdy most likely missing. Combat Cash Club again says 12-team double flex. We have Tua, Geno Stevenson, Ramondre Foreman, Javonte Akers, Komet, Kincaid, Waddle, Smith, Ayuk, Flowers, Gabe Davis, Tank Dell. What are your thoughts? I think we would really use some running back production. In a double flex league, though, we're going to be starting Waddle, Smith, Ayuk, Flowers every week. So I would just say right now we're probably not doing much, but the first chance that we get, like if Tank Dell goes out there and has a spike week this week, if we can then sell, say, Tank Dell and a running back and just go get someone startable right now, I think we would. But it's probably hard to make that move right now. Double flex league, you don't have to panic. Longhorn Nation, Hookamore is my man in a 10-team full BBR double flex dynasty league. How do you feel about Tyreek for Smith and an early second? He's 1-5 right now. If you are 4-3 and you are looking to contend, I'm just going to keep Tyreek Hill. I'm just going to keep Tyreek Hill, my friend. If you are a rebuilding roster, then I'd rather have Smith in the second. James says, help. We're 2-5. Need help make massive trades. 10-team double flex. We have Burrow, Saquon, Walker, Tyreek, Higgins, Waller, Gibbs, Watson. Thinking about trading Hill, Burrow, and either Saquon or Walker for Lamar and Chase. Really do not like this trade, my friend. Hill to Chase, downgrade. Burrow to Lamar, upgrade. If we stopped it there, I'm chilling. You can make it if you want. But to then go through and also include Saquon or Kenneth Walker, you are giving up way too much. I actually think that you have a solid team and you've been extremely unlucky with injuries so far this season. While I understand that Joe Burrow is the primary reason why we are 2-5, Burrow should be healthier coming out of the bye week this week. And I think we just be a little bit patient, keep the team as is. You can do that deal if you wanted to keep one of those running backs, but the team should be much better going forward where you don't need to make a trade. Now, nearly there says 12-team PPR, single quarterback, single flex. 6-1, we have Lawrence, Stafford, Kyler, Kamara, Hull, Pierce, A.J. Dillon, Diggs, Thielen, Waddle, Deontay Davis, Logan Thomas, and Njoku. Thanks. So thank you, my friend. So it's a team that we're thinking about long-term, full PPR. We can keep Kamara. If we could sell like Thielen and Waddle, Thielen and Stafford, Thielen and Lawrence, Waddle and Lawrence, Waller and Kyler. I'm sorry, Waddle. And go get Jefferson. I think that'd make a lot of sense on a 6-1 team here where we're trying to build for the long term. I don't know if we have enough running back, wide receiver depth to go out there and upgrade tight end right this second. What we really need to hope is we need to hope that we get a big week from Lawrence this week and we're able to capitalize and sell him highly and go get an upgrade somewhere else in that starting lineup. I think we would. But the issue is like we need to wait until we get a potential big week. But fall, and regarding trading Brian Robinson, Kincaid for Jacoby Myers, I think we need more value. We talked about that. I like the idea, but no, I think Kincaid has more value than that at this moment. But I think that's all I have for y'all on this stream. Excited to watch this game. I will be live streaming after the game tonight, so just make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will see you after the game. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate you. And yeah, enjoy the Bills-Bucks play.